Sports games are the lowest common denominator of video games in the industry. Each time they release, they act like they're AAA games even though they come out every year for $70, with some of the most predatory microtransactions, glitches galore, and taking baby steps into innovation. Not to say that all modern sports games are bad, some can be okay and even great, but it just feels like every sports game that comes out nowadays is like going back to an abusive ex who keeps stealing your money and saying, "Hey, you want to buy more card packs for the fucking Kobe Bryant card?" What if I told you that sports games were actually good? What if I said they were actually fun and had great gameplay elements? You'd probably think I'm crazy or one of those YouTubers who makes garbage content like this, but I mean everything when I say sports games used to be amazing. Let's flash back to the early 2000s. Sports games have already been around since basically gaming as a whole was invented. I mean, if you look back at the Atari 2600, you had masterpieces like basketball. But after the prehistoric dinosaur era of gaming, we had some great sports titles that were pioneers of their genre, with games like Punch-Out!, Tecmo Bowl, NHL 94, and NBA Jam, especially NBA Jam. NBA Jam was like this beacon of light in the sports game genre in the 90s that set the stage for every sports game after it. It had a full NBA license with actual real-life NBA players, which sounds like a no-brainer nowadays, but back then, getting actual players in a sports game was very uncommon. NBA Jam was just pure fun. No filler, no nonsense, no BS, just a good time. And who could forget the incredible announcer?
Pippin! That's a lucky bounce! Excuse me! It's a blowout! Intercepted! Monster kill!
NBA Jam was and still is one of the best arcade games of the 90s. It would be the gold standard of how to make an arcade sports game. Keyword being arcade sports game. Yeah, if you couldn't tell by the graphics you see on screen right now, creating a simulation of a sports game at the time was pretty difficult, but that sure as hell didn't stop people from trying. Madden would be a prime example of this. John Madden was an NFL coach who in 1988 would lend his likeness to EA to create John Madden Football, one of the first of its kind to attempt to emulate professional football. It did a pretty good job at the time, including full playbooks and even NFL teams, yet looking at the gameplay on screen, it looks like I need to decrypt some ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics to figure out what's going on. But enough about that boring stuff. These games don't even have ray tracing, let alone 3D graphics. Let's jump on over to the 2000s, where sports games would fucking explode in popularity. The 6th generation of consoles would open the floodgates to high-quality sports games that would be remembered for years to come, both in simulation and arcade style of games. In 1999, we not only got NBA 2K, but also NFL 2K, games released exclusively for the Sega Dreamcast, yet I don't think it helped Sega sell more consoles, unfortunately. 2K's games were all about trying their absolute best to simulate the sports they covered, similar to Madden, although they did a much better job compared to Madden and were giving them pretty fierce competition at the time. However, it didn't stop critics and consumers from loving and even buying both. It gave people a choice of what they wanted to buy. If you go on Metacritic's list of the best video games of all time, not only is NFL 2K there, yet so is Madden. It may be hard to believe, but back in the early 2000s, these games were actually fresh and original every year. They added new and exciting features every year to each game and would try their best to get you to buy their game compared to the competition. Each sports game in the 2000s was inspired to make the best one possible. When EA made an NBA Live, 2K would make an NBA 2K. When 2K made NHL 2K, EA would make an NHL game too. When Konami made Pro Evolution Soccer, you bet your ass EA would make FIFA. Sports games were exciting. You had all these games for each sport coming out that would compete with each other to see which one was better. Even Nintendo got in on the action with arcade sports games like Mario Strikers and Mario Tennis. To put into perspective how good these games got, from just 2000 to 2005, we got games like NFL 2K5, Madden 05, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 to American Wasteland, Super Mario Strikers, Mario Tennis, SSX, and nearly every WWE game. All these games released over 20 years ago, yet still hold up today, so you think that in the year of our Lord 2025, sports games would all be masterpieces, right?
Who have thought
About what?
that a young buck like you could actually do the right thing and avoid getting his sorry
I had a
butt kicked
teammate
out the
hold me
game?
back. He told me to chill.
Right? In 2005, tragedy would strike in the sports games market. The year prior, in 2004, 2K would release NFL 2K5 for $19.99, while Madden released Madden 05 for $49.95. NFL 2K5 was objectively the superior game in almost every way. It had a better simulation of a sport, had more features, and had better presentation and gameplay compared to Madden. All of this for a lower price than Madden was a no-brainer for sports games fans, and in turn, it sold a lot of copies, and today is remembered as not only one of the best sports games ever made, but just one of the best video games of all time. period. So in turn, EA and even the NFL for some reason got so mad at this that EA and the NFL signed an exclusive rights deal to where only EA could make simulation NFL games. This act by EA would fucking implode the sports games industry. With EA being the only people who could make NFL football games, all competition was killed, and EA would continue to make football games every year with no one being even allowed to think about making an NFL game. Starting with the 7th generation of consoles, sports games would slowly start to hit a decline. Not to a massive extreme, but a slow one. The yearly sports game would still come out every year, you know, some were good, some were bad, yet in 2009, a great evil would come not just to sports games, but gaming as a whole. Microtransactions. In FIFA 2009, EA had the brilliant idea of creating a game mode called Ultimate Team, a mode where you can compete with others online with your custom soccer team. Sounds like fun, right? Hell yeah, it does. There's just one teeny tiny small little catch, and that catch are the 3 magical numbers on the back of your mom's credit card. This game mode was basically entirely pay to win and was also guaranteed to make a metric fuck ton of money. To put this into perspective, here's EA's earnings from before microtransactions were in all their sports games, and after microtransactions were added to all their sports games. So yeah, when you see dollar signs this big in your earnings report, then yeah, it's a no-brainer to nickel and dime your consumer base, and what better way to do that than by making your games worse in exchange for more profits? Starting in around 2012, almost all sports games took a page out of EA's Hail Mary playbook and started putting in microtransactions to all their games, and in turn, making them worse. NBA 2K was the biggest culprit of this. For over 10 years by that point, 2K made consistently good basketball games, yet in NBA 2K13, they'd sell their soul for that precious VC. Shit that was free in the older games or locked via in-game progression now costed real money because fuck you. Now with the 8th generation of consoles right around the corner, you think that maybe they'd make their games a little better while also having microtransactions at the same time?
Oh my, someone called the National Weather Service. We had an unanticipated storm in the building tonight. Homeboy was running threes down on these fools. Bam, 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 one after another.
No, not really. Instead of pushing for gameplay innovation or better presentations, sports games went the route of greed. In fact, they were downgrading. Features that appeared in older titles were now cut in exchange for more microtransactions. There's a great YouTube video by Softdrink TV where he documents over 100 features that were now missing from newer Madden games. Even though it's a bit old now, I still think it's a great watch and I'll link it below. Throughout the entirety of the 8th generation, sports games got more and more predatory. They still costed $60 a piece, yet if you wanted to play online with your team, then you're gonna need to either grind for hours and hours just hoping to get that player you want, or you could spend $20 to get the chance at getting the player you want via a loot box, turning your playtime from 100 hours to 40 hours plus no longer having that $200 of rent money in your bank account. Yet even after all these shit game design elements that ruin the game for everyone, reviewers are still stuck in La La Land, with Madden 18 reviewing like it's the second coming of Jesus Christ, when in reality it's not even the second coming of Corey in the House for DS. Also, 2K isn't any better either. They also pulled a fast one on their community by putting real advertisements in the game that actually interrupt gameplay and couldn't be turned off because fuck you, give me money. Okay, to stop all the negativity for a second, let's head into the 9th generation of consoles, where sports games got a little better. Tony Hawk 1+2 came out and it was a masterpiece. It had 0 microtransactions with a gameplay-first design structure and even won Best Sports Game of 2020. Sure, it was a remake of an already good game, but I mean, I'll take what I can get. NBA 2K added the My Eras mode, which lets you start an NBA season in either the 80s, 90s, or 2000s, and is genuinely the best idea the series has had since NBA 2K11. Then there's College Football 2025. Now, to be fair, I haven't actually played this game yet, but from what I've heard, it's one of the best football games to come out in, like, a really long time. It even has features that Madden still doesn't have, and if that isn't poetic, then I don't even know what is anymore. A lot of sports games nowadays are described as good offline, but bad online, and that's just really frustrating to hear. Online gaming shouldn't just be the cesspool of greed and slow grinding. In the micro mode in NBA 2K11, and even some of the future ones, with my personal favorite being NBA 2K14, you had all the tools given to you to make a successful player. You earned skill points at a very reasonable rate to make your player better, and you were given incentives to actually want to continue playing the game. You start out as this bad player, but it makes sense because you're trying to make it to the NBA, and it feels incredibly satisfying when you actually do. Then afterwards, you can continue at your own pace. Yet in NBA 2K25, the micro mode is basically just a way to either A, sell you shit that was already free in older games, and B, sell you solutions to the problems that games create. I can't do English very well. You have this giant city that doesn't actually add anything to the gameplay and is basically just a glorified menu that takes minutes to navigate, and if you want to go faster in the city that we've created, you're gonna have to pay a lot of money to buy a go-kart because fuck you, give me money. In Madden, if I want to create a custom team, I can't because we don't have the technology to do that, unfortunately. We could do it on PS2, but the PS5, we just can't do it. I mean, we lost the disk drive, guys. It's not possible anymore. At the end of the day, sports games have just kind of lost their touch. While some are good, a lot still need work if they want to become good again. Sports games still need more depth and could be so much better. While there are steps in the right direction, they're all taking one step forward and two steps back. We need to go back and remember what made these games special in the first place if we want them to improve. Stuff like game depth, experimental game modes, a gameplay first type design, and of course, competition. Bring back NFL 2K, bring back NBA Live, bring back Skate, and fuck it, even bring back Wii Sports and call it Wii Sports 3, even though it wouldn't make any sense. My name is Burbus, and thank you for watching.